and the prayer came to pass because I saw the questions that day and I was even smiling.
Ọmọ ẹni kò ní ṣèdí bẹ̀bẹ̀ rẹ̀ ká fi lẹ̀kẹ̀ sídìí ọmọ ẹlòmíràn. Tọmọ ẹni bá ṣe dáadáa ẹ jẹ́ ká sọ wípé ó ṣe dáadáa. Daniela Owoeye rèé o, ọmọ tó gba máàkì tó pọ̀ jù níbi ètò ìdánwò sí ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga tá a mọ̀ sí UTME. Àwọn èèyàn kan á sì máa pè ní Jamb. Daniela Owoeye ó ṣe àlàyé lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ bí òun ṣe fi ara jìn fún ètò ẹ̀kọ́ rẹ̀, bí ìrìn àjò rẹ̀ ṣe rí, wípé òun kò láǹfààní láti lọ sí ilé ẹ̀kọ́ tó jẹ́ pé ó jẹ́ gbajúgbajà dáadáa àbí tí ó lówó lórí, ṣùgbọ́n òun fi àwọn nǹkan kan sílẹ̀ láti rí pé òun gbáradì dáadáa fún ètò ìdánwò tí a mọ̀ sí Jamb. Daniela ṣe àlàyé ohun tó sì sọ ó jẹ́ ohun ìwúrí tí mo lérò wípé gbogbo òbí àti alágbàtọ́ gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe àmúlò lórí àwọn ọmọ nípa ti ètò ẹ̀kọ́ wọn. Daniela rèé lónìí níbi tí ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn ènìyàn ti ń gbé òṣùbà kárí fún látàrí iṣẹ́ takuntakun tó ṣe, bó ṣe rí ọwọ́ mú láàrin àwọn ẹlẹgbẹ́ rẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹni tí ó gba máàkì tó pọ̀ jù níbi ètò ìdánwò tá a mọ̀ sí Jamb. Ẹ wo, mi ò ní fẹ́ fa ọ̀rọ̀ gùn nípa Daniela Owoeye nítorí ó ṣe àlàyé o, àlàyé rẹ̀ sì ní ìtumọ̀ púpọ̀ débi wípé ẹnu ọlọ́fà láti gbọ́ mọ́ta. Ẹ jẹ́ kí a gbọ́ ohun tí Daniela Owoeye tí ó sọ bí ìrìn àjò rẹ̀ ṣe rí. Ẹ wo, ẹ má gbàgbé láti like, láti comment àti share káàkiri nítorí ohun tí arábìnrin yìí ṣe yìí ohun ìwúrí ni púpọ̀. Àìsíbẹ̀ láì bá wọn dá sí. Ó yá, ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ ohun tí Daniela Owoeye sọ nípa ìrìn àjò rẹ̀. Ọ̀tẹ̀ ló ń jẹ́ ìlú ń pè ọ́, kò sẹ́ni tí ò lórúkọ tiẹ̀, àti wípé ọmọ kì í gọ̀ títí sẹ́ẹ̀ kó gbàgbé orúkọ ara rẹ̀. Ààfin tèmi ò nílò ìdánimọ̀ lọ́jà, tó bá dọ́jà báyìí wọ́n á mọ̀ pé ó dọ́jà ni. Èmi tí ń tòótọ́ Samuel Owóyẹmí, fẹ́lẹ́fẹ́lẹ́ láyé lórúkọ mi, fẹ́lẹ́ ní gbogbo èèyàn mọ̀ mí sí. Èmi náà kọ́, Ọlọ́run ọba òkè ló fún mi ṣe ní gbogbo ìgbà.
I graduated from ERVP Wisdom Spring Model School and I'm an alumna, so they are my alma mater. And also I wrote Jamb 2026 UTME and I came out with a high score of 372, and I am Jamb's top scorer, the highest scorer for 2026 UTME. So when I heard about my success, I was very happy, I was very excited, and it was a moment to be proud of actually. And I felt grateful to God. I was just like, my joy knew no bounds. I didn't know how to even express myself at that moment. I was kind of emotional and all of that, so I was very happy and thankful to God. I would say after seeing my results, my UTME results, I was expecting to be amongst the top 10, at least the top 3, at least, even if maybe there's someone with higher score than me. So I was expecting to be amongst the top 10, but within the range of top 1 to 3. I was at home. Yeah, I was at home. I didn't go anywhere. I wasn't with my dad. I was just alone. I was at home. I'm not sure if they were aware before me, but they called me and they notified me. And I also confirmed that I already sent the news online, because someone sent it to me and all of that. So I was doing something else. I was just busy on my phone, so I didn't watch the news, and I was just notified. Then I followed up from there. Then I watched it, and from there I started receiving messages where I was congratulated and all of that. It was very exciting, and when I received the calls, I observed my parents from afar, and they were looking proud of their daughter and all of that. But the messages and the calls were just too much, and it was kind of at the point kind of overwhelming and all of that, because it was from one call to another, and it was just so much. So yeah.
Account?
Yes, I created the account. I created those accounts. Actually, I intend to post educational videos and news and all of that, because I've heard a lot of people, they've been asking me how did I go about doing this, how did I do this and all of that. So I intend to post how I achieved my score, and I also intend to post educative videos advising my fellow students and all of that. So that was why I created the account. Actually, they were in support of that, and they were even the ones that advised me, or although I had it in mind, but they even spoke up and then they said I should also create something like that. So I decided to just create it since I already had that in mind. No, not at all. They haven't. No, we haven't received anything. I schooled at the Royal Standard International School. That was my primary school. And then my junior secondary school, I schooled at the Universal Success Academy. And it's now called the Universal Success Academy. And my senior secondary school, I attended EFVP Wisdom Spring Model School. Yes, I had. Well, my parents are not this type that usually they want extra double promotion and all of that. They believe I should follow the due process, from one class to the other. So I won't miss up on any one of the necessary information I need to know, the necessary knowledge I need to acquire. So there was a time I was double promoted from primary 4 to primary 6 in my primary school. So that's the only one. No, because at that point they felt like, okay, since oftentimes the primary 5 curriculum and syllabus was kind of related to that of primary 6 because they both is like preparatory class for junior secondary school level 1. So they just permitted that. So it was, since it's covered up the primary 5 topics also in my primary 6, so they allowed that. Ever since I was young, my parents usually spoke English. It was purely English. They barely spoke Yoruba. It was not until we got to JSS3 that was when I started learning how to speak Yoruba. So they spoke English purely, and it helped me become fluent in speaking English. And also, I would say my parents have been supportive, and they've always provided everything that we needed since while we were in primary school up to this level that we are in. And for myself specifically, I would say my parents, they gave me all their full support. They provided the past questions, the textbooks, everything I needed, and they even prayed for me. So they gave me the moral support. They made the resource material available, and everything I needed, they made them available. Well, some people say because my dad works at the library, he's an art student, and people feel like I took the English aspect from him, and that because my mom is a doctor in industrial chemistry, so people also feel like I got the chemistry aspect from her also. And I feel like actually, yeah, it's played a role because there was some time where I needed clarifications on a few questions while preparing, that I met my mom and she explained it to me, and it was really helpful. And same goes to my dad also, so it was really helpful to me. Actually, my mode of preparation, I think only a few can do that because I wasn't opportune to go to these big prestigious schools like ambassadors, scholars, and all of that. So I knew that I needed to work harder, and not just work harder, but work even smarter strategically. So I started early, and then I set a goal, yeah. And this reminds me of this scripture that's written in the book of Habakkuk, that we should write our goal, our vision clearly, that when we run, we may see it, and after, I don't know how to quote it directly, so I keyed into that. I wrote down my goal, I wrote 370 plus, and then I aimed towards it. And there's this quote that I read somewhere. I learned that we are meant to intensify our actions rather than increase our goals. So I also learned that because I was this type before I saw that. I was this type that I usually set so many goals and all of that. So I learned that increasing the goal is not the key, but increasing my efforts, my actions. So I keyed into that also, and I started pushing and doing all that I needed to do. And also I set a timetable. Although the timetable I used when preparing was different from the one I used for my revision. I used a kind of a month or so, the month of Jamb, that was April, for my revision. So also I set alarm on my phone. So I saw that as my own school bell for to notify me of each time. So I would say right from the time I woke up till about 11:30 in the morning, I read. That was my morning section. Then I took a few breaks. And my own break was not that of social media, because I learned that, I haven't tasked my brain. Social media is not the right option to try to cool my brain down, because I knew my brain needed rest. So I just rested during the break. I walked about, I just walked around and all of that. So I didn't play games or social media, because it usually worsened in the matter. It usually gave me headache and all of that. So also, my afternoon session, I studied from around 12:30 to about 3:30. So I did that, also took break. Then from 4:30 till the period for my online tutorial, because I attended daily tutorials. So I read till then, because the tutorial started, it was 7:15. So I just stopped all that I was reading and all of that by 7. So by 7:15. So that was what I did. And I didn't rely on my tutorials alone. So I did so much effort. My parents provided all my subject combinations for Jamb series remix, for also Prep 50 past question, they had copy. So they bought the two down. And my preparation was topic by topic based. I used the Jamb syllabus, and I feel that's where many students are missing it. They're getting it wrong. They're trying to cover up a lot of textbooks, and some of them do not take the Jamb syllabus seriously. So I said, instead of me downloading the soft copy, I printed everything for both the physics, chemistry, biology, English. So each time I finished up a topic, I usually ticked it, and I treated it based on what Jamb highlighted. So I used even past questions to generate a notes aside my online tutorial also. So I did that, and I did it consistently. I consulted AI to summarize the notes for the parts that seemed bulky, and it was really helpful. I had a notes where I jotted my errors, my mistakes, and all of that. I did past questions, CBT practices every day. So I using quiz boots, and I joined this group that conducted 100 question quizzes every day. So they started with chemistry. That was nothing less than 2 months. So it lasted not less than 2 months. And then for the remaining subjects, it came up about later on, but not less than 1 month. It lasted for not less than 1 month, and it was 100 questions daily. So aside that, I was revising my notes and reading, and also I did this test drillers weekly mock challenge on Saturdays. I did that, and I also had a particular time I set for my own personal mock challenge aside that one. So I also did a lot of that. I watched videos. Although my online tutorials was the notes were self-explanatory, well explained. The tutors they were very they made the classes lively, and they're just superb. It's structured, but still I didn't stop at that. I sourced for videos online on YouTube. I watched a lot of that, and I want to thank my parents for that, because they made data and everything available. So I sourced for a lot of videos, and I tried to understand concepts. So I wasn't this type that just saw questions and crammed it like that, because I knew that that system didn't even work for me at all. So I studied concepts, regardless the time it took me to understand it. Then after having understood the questions, the concepts, I recorded it, explained it to myself like I was explaining. Even in fact, I used layman's language. I added real life situations and fictitious ideas to make it practical and to help me remember all that I did. And I used a lot of materials. I joined some groups that could help me with quizzes on WhatsApp and Telegram. So I think that's all I remember for now. Nothing less than 8 hours. At least, I did not calculate it, but I read from, let's say from 8 to 11:30, about 12:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon. Then from about 5 to 7. So I think that should be about is it 9 or how many hours? I didn't calculate that. So I was focused on just trying to solve a lot. And my tutorial and the online tutorial, it's also lasted from about 4 hours. That's from 7:15 to 12:30 or so. So in the morning. So I just revised a lot after my classes in the morning. I went through the notes. Then there are times that I tried to solve past questions after that. Then I slept from then too. I woke up. I usually wake up 6. I started very early last year. I wrote UTM 2025 UTM. So I had glitches. The system shut down. The changeover wasn't working. The generator went off and all of that. And it just wasted a lot of time. And although I didn't request a receipt because I was scared that what if it's the same thing repeated itself and all of that. So I just didn't even request any receipt. Okay, I've had this passion to study medicine and surgery since I was young. There's this TV channel, AIT, and I usually watch, especially it was on Sundays, they usually brought up this type of, I don't even know how to describe it, support for the sick and all of that, people that needed surgery and all of that. So it's motivated me, drove me to, there was a time I sat down and I spoke to myself that why not study medicine and surgery and help these people, because it was so painful and I felt their pain and all of that. So ever since then, I've been passion driven to study medicine and surgery. And apart from that, I also enjoy everything about medicine and surgery and all of that. So for Unilag, it's because it's one of the best schools that offer the medical courses in Nigeria. So I chose Unilag because I saw it could offer quality education and medicine and surgery. Yeah, I got 293.
293?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the little time left, I managed to get. And then so having learned from that, I decided to start as early as that. So I started even bit by bit until I started moving deeper and deeper and deeper. I actually used it, and then my score was good. I used it because my WAEC result boosted it, and then I settled for a less competitive school. But they pegged their cut-off mark as a very high score, and such that just few people were able to get admitted. Okay, firstly, to prospective UTME candidates, I would tell them to believe in themselves, because I feel one thing that is limiting so many UTME candidates is mindsets, their mindset shifts. Some of them feel that because they didn't attend big schools and all of that, they won't get big scores. I want to advise them that if they believe it is impossible, then it will definitely be impossible for them. Why others who believe that it's possible will become possible for them. So they should change their mindset. They should believe that it will be possible. And not only that, they should work towards it with consistency, commitment, and they should put their preparation into God's hands. Because I've always been saying that it's one thing to read a lot, smart, strategically and all of that. And there's another thing to encounter similar questions that the person read. So I always add this prayer that I always pray to God that whatever it is that whatever question it is that I won't be able to answer, I won't be able to, even questions I've not even met at all, that I shouldn't encounter those questions. I also pray to God to help me not to read amiss, to direct my steps. And the prayer came to pass because I saw the questions that day and I was even smiling because they were very simple questions and they were very familiar questions. I even saw some questions that were kind of repeated, and there were some questions that similar concepts that I studied, they just twisted it a bit, so I applied that and it was so helpful. So I would say also they should be consistent, they should push harder, they shouldn't let anything distract them, and they shouldn't let low self-esteem set in. They should believe in themselves, hopefully trust the process, commit their preparation into God's hand, and source for the right materials. And I pray God will help them also. And to my parents, I want to say that I love them so much, and they are the best gifts that God gave to me. And I want to say that they've been supportive. I want to appreciate them. And I also want to say thank you to them for believing in me, because even I feel the best person that can believe better in one's child should be the parents. Even when others may not seem to believe, I feel it's the parents. And also, I want to give credit to my parents for that. They've been very supportive and very helpful.
ọ̀tẹ̀ ló ń jẹ́ ló ń pè ọ́, kò sẹ́ni tí ò lórúkọ tiẹ̀, àti wípé ọmọ kì í gọ̀ títí sẹ́ẹ̀ kó gbàgbé orúkọ ara rẹ̀. ààfin tèmi ò nílò ìdánimọ̀ lọ́jà, tó bá dọ́jà báyìí wọ́n á mọ̀ pé ó dọ́jà ni. èmi tìyín tòótọ́ Samuel Owóyẹmí, fẹ́lẹ́fẹ́lẹ́ láyé lórúkọ mi, fẹ́lẹ́ ní gbogbo èèyàn mọ̀ mí sí. èmi náà kọ́, Ọlọ́run ọba òkè ló fún mi ṣe ní gbogbo ìgbà.